Welcome to Sage Sisters. We are sisters, besties, moms, and co-founders having a fun catch-up on parenting and life. Hey, I'm Ann.
And I'm Kate. What's up, Tanny Ann? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. We are getting ready for spring break. This is
Exciting.
The Friday before spring break, and it is exciting. We're going to Boston. We're going to have some fun, but it's just the prep. So I'm feeling a little bit like a chicken with my head cut off, running to Target and different places to get snacks and things for the airplane, activities, packing the kids, laundry.
I was going to say, the laundry and the packing, woof.
Yeah. So I've just got a little bit of personal as we're trying to do a bunch of work stuff too, because I'll be out a couple days next week. And so I was trying to get prepped for it. So all good, just feeling a little frazzled. How are you doing today?
You know when you say all good, but the octave goes up, it is so telling. You're like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. It's like, yeah, okay. You're struggling. Reach out and ask for help.
Hanging on by a thread. I did just open an Olipop. That's helping me. I needed a little fun drink energy.
Ugh, I can't get there on Olipop. I'm happy for you. I have the disgusting version of that, which is
actual Diet Coke.
Precious Diet Coke.
I am obsessed with Olipop. Root beer's the best. There are some flavors that are no thanks, but I don't know. I'm loving them.
Hey, I'm happy for you. I really am. So for next week, what's the mix of family time, with relatives / just your crew?
Perfection, in my opinion. We're going in for 3 days to Boston with the kids to have just family time. So we have a lot of things lined up, potentially a Celtics game. We got a couple kid museums. We've got some food places that are kid friendly that are the sandwich places in Little Italy and different things people have recommended. So I think it's going to be awesome. And we're staying at a good hotel in a good location. That always makes me feel comfortable. So boom on that. It'll be great. And then we're going to stay at Phil's aunt's beach house, which is I think an hour north of Boston, something like that. But his whole family's coming in for the most part, and it will be so fun. And we're going to have a birthday party for his grandma.
Cute.
And it's cute. It's just going to be great. And so we'll have a few days there, and then we come home. So it's a good balance of lots of activity, solo, but then also we'll have family. So
you guys take off tomorrow?
Nope, we don't go till Monday. So
okay. You got the weekend to
I got the weekend.
Out.
Exactly. But this was the day
pack.
without kids to do some of the things I needed to do, run errands to do that.
Say no more. Yeah. Say no more.
Yeah. How are you holding up over there?
I've had such a better week. So my high, I think I mentioned on a last podcast, my son was sort of struggling and we were having a hard time getting him to school on time. He was just showing kind of anxiousness.
Yeah.
And it's just the worst feeling when any of your kids are kind of not thriving.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had, I guess looking back, I think I also didn't realize how frequent it was coming up, but I was noticing it was kind of getting worse. And through his therapy that we found a great child psychologist, he started sort of expressing that a lot of his anxiety was coming from his aftercare. And even though this place has been a real partner to us, I would say, and we have overall good feelings, I think there are just some dynamics there. And also, I just think they let him do a ton of free time, which I love. But I think he's a kid that really thrives with a little bit more downtime.
Yeah.
So anyways, Chris and I had a kind of heart to heart, and I said, I think we got to pull him. We're going to bring him home after his crazy early kindergarten gets out. So I pick him up now at 11:30. We started this a week ago. I mean, night and day. We've had no problems in the morning. He's a happy little kid. He's doing great, doing independent play in the afternoon while I finish work. So I just feel like the weight has been lifted.
Yeah.
And I would rather deal with some stress of trying to work and manage him in the afternoons. And Chris is here too, so that helps. Versus, he's there, but then not doing well and feeling anxious. So I'm glad. Light on my feet.
Good. Because it could be the opposite because it's all about Calvin, right? And making sure that he feels good. So that is such a good feeling. But 11:30 is early.
Yeah.
And I was kind of blown away because California is different than where we are in Tennessee, but kindergarten is all day here. So to
Ooh.
hear that it's only till 11:30 and then you could go to aftercare or not, that's early. So we're
I
already
wish it was all day, truthfully.
yeah. So
8
anyways,
to 11:30 feels like you blink twice and you're back.
yeah. Oh, that's nothing. Yeah,
Nothing.
that's like the pre-K that we were dealing with where you felt like
Mhm.
you had to have additional childcare at home afterwards.
Totally. But
Yeah.
so much better. Feel great. Like, feel like, okay, couple more months. We got this. Kind of getting some new ideas for things to keep them busy. So,
Okay.
anywho,
Good.
yay. My kid's doing better.
That's a good high.
What's your low?
Well, I didn't even say my high yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought your trip, I was thinking.
No, well, it could be. It's the future. Maybe next week will be my high. But my high is I have Ace in my high as well, my kid. So he had his little wax museum presentation this week at school, and he was
Why
Jackie
don't you explain that?
Robinson.
Because that is not obvious.
Fair. I have heard a lot of parents say they also did this at other schools, so I guess I was making it. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely not like I don't think across the board. But they choose a person from history and they have to pretend to be them. So they dress up and then they have like facts that they have to say. And they stand around inside of the school and all the parents go around and you can like basically press their button essentially that's in front of them and they say their speech to everyone. And it was just so cute seeing the kids in that situation. It was the first time he had to put a PowerPoint presentation together.
Okay.
That was the in-class portion. But, he was thriving. He was just speaking so loud, so cute, taking it so seriously. It made my heart melt. And then flip side, he's about to do flag football, which he's been begging to do. And he had a little combine where they do draft at this age just to make the teams even. Well, it's to make the teams even. It does make sense. But they go in and they kind of have like a tryout / combine. And he was trying so hard. His face was beet red before they even started. And anyways, when you see your kid thriving and just happy, it's kind of like what you said. It was such a high this week. He was so dang cute. And
well, you recorded and I saw his little Jackie Robinson speech and I was like, my heart melted. It was so stinking cute.
Yeah. And just so serious. Like it was just, he was not joking around. Yeah.
Good job, Ace, man.
Yeah. So what's your low?
Okay. The ducks are back is the
You're going to have to explain that too.
Okay. Last spring, some ducks found our pool and set up a little nest, had a bunch of eggs, and we were into it. We were like, cute. Oh, the ducks like our pool.
You actually named yourselves the Ducksons instead of the Dirksons.
Totally. The neighbors came up with that. It was kind of genius.
Yeah,
but
I love it.
The kids were so excited. They go check on her every day. We named her. She's Rose. Anyways, I guess that does have like weird Titanic energy now that I'm saying it, but the kids didn't know. They named her.
Yeah.
So she put out 10 eggs last year. She only had 4 of the 10 hatch. And then I've learned a bunch. So it's like 28 days from egg laying to ducks. And then usually all the eggs hatch within 24 hours. They like to be near water. So they oftentimes will set up near like a pool or lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 24 hours, if the eggs don't hatch, they're no good.
Oh, gosh.
But she was so sweet. She stuck around for like a full week trying to get those other eggs to hatch. They never did. She finally left, but the kids were convinced these eggs were going to hatch. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. We had 4 cute little ducks and Grace is making signs for the ducks that say quack, quack. Like,
oh my gosh. The ducks that have not hatched yet.
Yeah. And she made little ramps so that the ducklings could get out of the pool. She was worried they wouldn't be able to get out. Anyways, it was so cute. And we were like, oh, this is sweet. Until the eggs that didn't hatch got by a hawk.
Oh, no.
It was a bloodbath. I got woken up at like 6 a.m. She comes in. She goes, they're all dead.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, God. And I went out there. It was... I'll spare you, but I had to get a power washer and it took me about 2 hours to clean up the mess back there.
Let's move on.
Okay, so then we were anti-duck. It was very traumatizing for the kids because they love these ducks so much.
Yes, absolutely. Then to see that at the end, yikes.
So it was a really tough circle of life learning moment for the Ducksons, if you will.
Yeah.
So this year we were like, no ducks. So we saw her kind of come back. We think it's the same duck. Come back, scope it out. And we went out there every time to try to scare her off. Like, we're shooting her with a water gun,
Yeah.
which I didn't feel great about.
Yeah.
I have a really funny video of Chris out there, like, trying to get this duck. But we did not want to deal with this year.
Yeah.
So I thought we had made it. And then I was outside, and all of a sudden I heard a little rustle in the bush. I go over. She's back, and she's already got those eggs down. So now
she laid the eggs?
Yep.
You didn't scare her?
Not enough.
No.
I thought we had done our job.
Yeah, well,
So now I'm like, I don't want to deal with this.
So what do you do? You're settling in. They're just going to, I mean, you can't do anything now, right? You just have to see what
Chris
happens.
told the kids he's going to relocate the eggs, but that means kill them. And I'm like, I don't know.
No, you can't do that.
I don't feel good about it. That's too far. So now we'll have another batch of ducks and hope they do better.
Well,
I do think her nest spot is slightly improved over last year. She's really back in there.
Now that you know the darkness that can happen too, maybe you can prevent that, or you won't let when she leaves.
What am I supposed to do? Get out there and be on hawk duty all through the night?
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
They're nocturnal. That's probably happened at 3 a.m.
Well, what I was thinking was she will be there, and if they don't hatch, then at that point you can move them somewhere. You know, the ones that don't hatch. Like,
I have learned some
things
the hard
I do
way.
like the image of you being out there on hawk duty.
Aw, I know. So anyways, Duckson's round 2. Here we go. Not excited.
Okay. I didn't think that would be your low, but here we are.
These are the things you don't see coming in suburbia.
Yeah. True.
My younger New York City living self is like shaking her head. And like,
yeah. 100%. Never
What's
thought
your
I'd
low?
be here.
Never thought I'd be here.
My low is my daughter, who is always kind of changing interest. We were in a gymnastics class and still are. And this one's, different than the last one. It's cute. She's on the beam. They do the bar, but it is a little redundant. And so after, a couple months of this, she gets bored, I think. So it started 2 weeks ago. She was not going to go. And so I had kind of been like, you got to go. We got to try it a little bit. She wouldn't even put her gymnastics clothes on. But she did say she wanted to go and watch the older girls because there's like competition level girls in the same place and she never gets a chance to watch them. So she went, she convinced me to go there with her so she could watch the competition girls and, maybe get some new energy towards it and want to stay. Long story short, the competition girls were on a competition. They were not there for the first time in months. And so we went all the way there. They weren't there. She was devastated. And because they weren't there, the little girls got to go to like a different high bar and she was not dressed. She couldn't do it. And so she then wanted to participate. So it was like an epic fail of a mom situation. Fast forward, she refused to go this week again. And I was doing the battle of we don't quit, but this is a gymnastics class we've been doing forever. It's not like a team.
Right.
Do I let her sit this one out and then move her to a different class? Maybe we'll do a tumbling or maybe we'll do dance
100%.
or something. So I chose that, but it's been weighing on me because, I don't think Phil thought I made the right decision. He was like, you got to go. We don't quit. And I was like, well, it's a little bit different. And it's just a struggle.
It's a class.
I know. And it was such a struggle to get her there. And it's like, this has been like, I said the last 2 weeks really hit a high, but this has been a couple weeks of her just really not interested. So it was a low. So I'm going to switch her. I think we're going to try to find something else.
You'll laugh at this. You know how Cal got really into jiu-jitsu and it was like a whole thing. And we were trying to build his confidence and like get him more comfortable in his body. And
yeah.
Chris felt like his anxiety would go down if he could kick someone else's tail. That's
I like
man therapy for you. But
totally.
But it was cute, and he was into it for a while, and he had his little gi, which was the cutest thing ever, so I was, like, here for it. But then the coach got down and was like, you're a big guy. Like, I think you got to move up to the 7 to 11 age group,
No. Do they do it by weight? Is that how they do it?
They don't do it by weight, but he's a very large 6-year-old, and there's no one that matches up with him body-wise, so of course he's, like, killing these little kids.
Giving him the confidence he needs.
Well,
at their expense.
That's what exactly. I'm like, oh, that kid was a punk. Take him out. No, but the coach was like, you got to move up. You got to move up. And he does not want to move up. Like that is outside of his comfort zone, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So now he doesn't want to go. Even though he's still in the 6 and under class, he sees that like he's not going to have much longer
Yeah, so he's
with
worried
this.
about the next step. Oh, he's
worried.
thinking about it. Shoot.
Yeah. But again, they gotta want it.
Yeah.
So I just said, well, we'll go back later. It's also a class, which I like. It's like, it's not a team.
Yeah. Well, that makes
We'll
me
ebb
feel
and
better.
flow in and out of it. So
Yeah. That makes me feel better because that was my thought was I can't fight this every week for no reason.
You got to be excited about it.
Yeah. And we're about to start swim. We're about to start some other things. I might just, I want her to do something else.
Get bored of the same thing. I get bored. I go to the gym, do the same workout. 3 months later, I couldn't possibly. I agree. They're just little humans.
I know. But she's like, Mom, I got the cartwheel. I'm like, well, we could still work on the cartwheel a little bit,
Well, Lola's got the Indra's like overconfidence where it's like she thinks she's better than she is.
Oh, yeah. She's out there like she's watching the competition girls as if that is her. And it's really cute. But it's like, she's like, this is below me. I'm like, well, we need the basics.
Yeah. One thing I don't know ours does is they have like very specific assessments and you move up when you can do A, B, and C, but it's so clear cut that...
Yeah, they don't have that here.
Okay. That helps because it's like you'll move up when you can nail the skill. Yeah. You're everything but this front walkover or whatever. Like nail that.
I am sure this place is really legit. And it's like when you get to the a little bit older classes or really like even just a couple classes above where we are, which is like more competition level, even at the beginning level, they're legit. Okay. I'm sure there is a process. It's just this younger, I just kind of feel like
fun. They're there for a good time.
Yeah, it's not. It is the same thing every time. And she's always like, were you watching me? And it's like, yeah, of course I was. Yep.
That's funny.
All right. Well, let's move to the topic. And it is your week. So what do you got for us?
Yeah. I'm sure everyone who is interested in kids and tech has a feed that kind of looks like mine where it's like, I am getting inundated with all the latest and greatest stuff. But some new research came out from our favorite research group, Common Sense Media, about kids tech use under 8. So I thought last week we kind of with Sarah went older. I thought maybe this time we could talk about like all things tech, kids under 8, share some research, talk about how we navigate with our younger ones. Everything from devices, iPads are a big one with the under 8. YouTube's a big one with YouTube kids under 8. So I thought we could just see where that takes us. Does that sound good?
I love it. Do you want to start with maybe the new research? Like kind of give a little bit on that?
Yeah. I think the things that sort of jumped out at me, it's a good research report. If anyone's really interested, maybe we'll link to the thing in the show notes.
Yeah.
But I think the highlights were 4 in 10 2-year-olds have their own iPad tablet. That moves to 6 in 10 under 4. And 1 in 4 kids under 8 have their own smartphone. So that was kind of it on the device side. On the screen,
1 in 4 kids under 8 have a smartphone already? Yep. That's wild. Okay.
That's consistent with what we had found before.
Yeah, but that just it sounds way early. That's crazy.
It does, but when we dug into that, a lot of those kids that got it really early were divorced families or kind of unique extended family makeup. So it kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
I think that's a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
When you look at, how many divorced families there are.
That's fair.
The other thing is the screen time was pretty much the same. So screen time under 8 has been pretty consistently at 2.5 hours for a long time. And in the olden days, that was like primarily TV time. I think the interesting thing is how much of that has been shifting to the iPad. So now the bulk of that 2.5 hours is on tablets. I think in terms of what they're watching, at that age, it is still a lot of episodic kid shows. Only 16% were basically on short form video, which again, for that age, most people are not on social media at under 8. It really tends to be YouTube kids.
YouTube shorts. Yeah.
Towards the 8, I did hear a lot of families in our research that had moved from YouTube kids to YouTube. So I bet it's both. But 16% of young kids watching short form video. So more on YouTube than that. That's just the ones that are kind of clicking through those shorts.
Yeah.
In general, kids under 11, now this is from different research, not the Common Sense Media one, but 80% of kids watch YouTube and YouTube Kids.
At 11, yeah.
When you look at the full population of like 11 and under. So
yeah,
gives
so
you a
just
flavor for it.
To summarize this, the big change is that kids under 8 are actually transitioning more to their iPad than TV.
Yep.
And still watching about 2.5 hours a day. And some of those, 1 in 4 under 8, have an actual smartphone.
Yep. And just the number of kids that have their own iPad is like through the roof.
Right. Yeah.
There were a couple other little points I thought were, maybe I'll just mention quickly, because I think this is like when people hear it, they go, ooh, but 1 in 5 kids under 8 use screens for emotional regulation. Like when the kid's acting out, we'll use the iPad to calm them down. And then 20% watch or play on a device every single night to fall asleep.
Yeah, those are the two that are like, again, we at Sage are not all tech is bad. The tech can be good. Some content can be good. It's just finding the right things. But those two things in particular, when you're using the tool to regulate emotions or when you're using the tool to actually go to sleep, those two things really are harmful. And, there's ways to try to fix it. But it is a slippery slope. If your kid is acting out and you use the iPad to give it to them to calm down, the transition to get that back and not do that is so hard.
The thing that I collectively, I'm like, come on, people, is like, an iPad is just a tool. A smartphone is just a tool. Like the device itself is actually not that big of a deal. Like if you had an iPad and you looked at it every once in a while for 20 minutes, no one would even have the mental model that they do. I think it actually goes back to like the boundary setting. And maybe I'm saying this, like both of my kids have their own iPad. We incorporate iPad games, like some of which I love. Like do you guys have Osmo? I forget. We do
have Osmo. Although I will say and I can kind of get into it a little bit, but we've started to use the iPad less and less. But Osmo is great. And there is a lot of independent time they have when they're using the Osmo, for sure.
Yep. And Grace plays Wordle and like some of those games on her iPad. She like is now in the family Wordle, which I love. She'll do Sudoku and things that I'm completely fine with. Cal really likes, he's younger, he's 6, but he really likes this game, Pock Pock. It's non-addictive. It's like a Montessori style.
Please tell me more. I've been getting ads aggressively towards Pock Pock and I was just curious what it was.
Yeah, it's great. It's like if you were designing a game for kids that you could feel great about, I feel like it would be Pock Pock. It is, you can go in and like the one that he loves, he's a builder, but he can design these cities and like add houses and rivers and like do all this stuff, but it has zero of the sort of like addictive gamified hooks.
Yeah.
You do pay for it, and that's why it has no ads. It's like a non-addictive educational kind of game.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, they'll use that. Ours have iPad like school modules too. So like we'll have, I don't know, do you guys use Lexia, or there's a bunch of these, but kind of the ed tech things for school, which I'm obviously fine with.
Yeah.
And then not unlike I think most kids, what they want to do the most is YouTube Kids. They love it. I don't love it, but I understand why they love it, which is Cal is obsessed with Legos. His favorite thing is to go watch these like elaborate Lego builds. Grace is extremely into gymnastics and stretching and all these things. So she follows people that like teach her how to do that. Or she's also very into art. So she like follows a lot of gymnastics and art stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like YouTube lets them go deep on these like new interests. And they don't get that when they're, on a Netflix or a Hulu or a cable network. So it's like, I do understand it.
We talked about this a little bit on last week's podcast, but it is true. And as they get older, those interests just get different, but they still have these almost videos that they can get expertise from YouTube. So there is really good content. I would highly recommend though, going to the Sage guidebook or even our YouTube page at Sage Parents, because we have all of our how-to videos there. And there is so many how-to videos on how to do the parental controls for both YouTube and YouTube Kids in a way that was very helpful and super enlightening. If they are doing YouTube, lock it down.
Well, this is my thing. I feel pretty strongly if you're going to do YouTube Kids that you should pick the content. So when you're setting it up, I do not trust YouTube to pick content for my kids because they start rolling it into a lot of toy unboxing and things that I'm like, ew. I also
Yes.
really hate the like family vlogs, like, ugh, gross.
Yeah, we talked about
But
that last week too. Yeah.
it's gross. But
Mhm.
so I go in and I basically selected for each of them like 10 creators that I know and like feel fine with.
Yeah.
Now, trust me, I still hate the shorts. And if you, I go into their iPad and manually delete the shorts sometimes, but it's impossible to like keep up with.
Yeah.
So that one's getting away from me. So it's like, and that's why I just tell them you cannot have more than an hour of YouTube, or YouTube Kids is all we do. You cannot have more than an hour a day. It's just,
Mhm.
it's not good for your brain. I get why you like it. Some of it's fine, but that's our boundary.
Yeah.
And I think this goes to a bigger issue, which is like, this is kind of what I want to like shake parents. I'm like, none of this stuff's bad, but like, why are you guys not setting more boundaries? And I do think parents just like don't want to be the bad guy.
100%. And I will be honest that Phil plays more of the bad guy role in this house because I have a hard time making good on all the threats, right? Like it's easy. I want to do that. It's not that I'm full gentle parenting. I am not, but I want to do more of that. Let's talk about this and listen. And when they're not, then I start to lose it. And they listen to Phil so much more because he's always drawn a hard line. Even when they were younger with small things. If he said something like any kind of, threat's a wrong word, but like if you do this, you're going upstairs to your room, TV goes off. If you do this, if you don't listen, and he's always followed through, and I have a hard time doing that. And they listen to him way more. So being the bad guy, we are not trying to be their friend here. We need to be, the parent. It's important to know that at every stage. And it will if you do not go through with your threats, it will backfire on you.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I'm not saying you're too soft and he's too hard. I just think that good cop, bad cop, when one parent caves and one is like the super disciplinarian, it's like, that's tough. It's tough. So it's like, I don't know. I think if you guys could get to like here's our consistent boundary that's not good cop or bad cop, it's medium cop.
Yeah. Well, and here's
just
the thing:
hold the line. A medium cop, it's like, yep, this is what we do.
As the kids have gotten older, I can have more of a conversation with them, and it works, and we are getting to a better place. And to be honest with you, I'm really talking about things that have nothing to do with the iPad, because we had an iPad. We had two at one point that one got broken. And so our two older kids, all three, Lily's not on it ever, but the other two have one iPad they share. And we put it away for months. Around the holiday, we let it come out a little bit. They started to act just a little bit more like it was hard to get them off. Their demeanor changed. Even we had a very hard boundary. You get this amount of time per day. It was around 2 hours. They would never even hit it. And when we decided it was time and we said, okay, time's up, they were having a hard time getting rid of it and they were acting out. And so we just said, it's not worth it. So we put it away. And 2 weeks ago, we got the iPad back out. That's been about 2.5, 3 months without it.
Good for you.
Yeah. And it's nice though, because when we watch TV, one may want to watch something else. So we kind of use it for that more. Or there's like certain games to your point. We don't do YouTube, but like there's a couple games that they want to play and I'm fine with it. Okay, fine. Do it. We're still all in the same
YouTube
room.
On the iPad.
We do no YouTube on the iPad.
Yeah.
But it was just because it was hard to regulate and their attitudes were crazy when we pulled it. And so, we actually had this week, they were starting to, not get ready for school and do the things they needed to. And someone was trying to grab the iPad and we pulled it again. So we don't have the iPad anymore. And it's just probably by kids, but our kids were not responding to the boundary we set. And it wasn't like we were letting them get away with it, but they were acting out and acting like just temper tantrums when we took it away, and it just wasn't worth the fight. So.
And I feel like a broken record on this too, but it's like every kid's different. Every kid's different. We heard this from our interviews, but it's like sometimes that kind of content had a huge impact on behavior and disrespect and talk back and like fighting for it. And like those are the those are the addiction signs, or like, I can't give it up. I'll fight for this like to the death. Or it's just, the kid's spicier and like
Right.
willing to do that. And it's like, I admire you a ton for being like, this wasn't working. So we're out.
On.
So we're out.
And I will say, we're going on spring break next week, as I mentioned. That iPad's going to come back out because it's going to help us with travel. Yeah. This is what happened during the holidays. Are they going
to have to share it? Because that seems like
drama. We do have Phil has a work phone, so he lets him use one of his phones. Okay. So we have two for like the actual travel moments. So we're fine. But it is just a little bit, or we have him share it. But it is that week after is a reset, and we'll probably have to pull it again. But those are the times that like I always give in again, and then it gets to a bad place, and it's like yank it. So I don't know.
To me, a long flight to Boston.
Needed.
Oh my God. Also, like, I can enjoy my flight. I can watch something or read or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like, I have no guilt about that whatsoever.
Well, I just think it's like we always say, everything in moderation, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel the same. People have a hard line on this, so I know there will be some disagreements. I feel the same at a restaurant. I'm not dragging my kids to restaurants every night, and I'm not putting them on the iPad every night so Phil and I can have a dinner without kids yelling. Mm-hmm. There are many nights we have family night dinners every night, and when we go out, sometimes there's many times we are just all sitting together as a family. But those days, those moments when your kids are crazy or you've had a long day and you go out and you can see it in their eyes when you sit down. If I need a phone to distract them for a little bit, I'm okay with it because that's part of the boundary setting. They can do it during that time frame, and we can all survive this dinner and actually enjoy it. Like, it's not every time, but there are moments we need it. So maybe that goes to the emotional regulation that I shouldn't be doing, but I do find it to be helpful in those situations.
Well, I think the challenge on the emotional regulation side is then they almost get rewarded for behavior that you're not trying to encourage.
Yes.
And I have a lot of empathy for parents that are at the rope is pulled taut and you're surviving. Right. So it's like, I get it, but that's obviously like not going to be a good long-term strategy for sure.
Well, it's also just like, again, it's not every time we go sit down at the restaurant, but when you're already there, you've already ordered and your kid's going nuts. Okay. I mean, again, that's when I've used it and when I probably shouldn't. But if in my mind, I justified it by saying it's not every time. This is not something that's standard, but I need to survive this dinner.
There's no judgment here. I guess we just don't even eat out that much now that I'm thinking of it. Cause I'm like, we haven't done that, but also we go so infrequently. Mm-hmm. You guys are more extroverts. I feel like where you're just like hitting the town a lot more. I just feel like we're eating at home. And if we go out, we're not bringing them. But sometimes, if they're annoying and I'm having a cocktail with some girlfriends, I'll give them my phone just to like buy 30 more minutes. So it's like, whatever. Same difference.
Same difference. Yeah.
My kids at home will beg for like an iPad dinner. They'll be like, Mom, I'm so exhausted today. I was like, I did this. Can we please just have like not a family dinner? And I'm always like,
do you let that happen? Or is it like a reward system at your house, I guess?
We will every once in a while, like maybe probably once a week, I'd say.
Okay.
Most of the time I'm like, no, we're doing family dinner. Like I cooked or your dad cooked. Even if we do it quick, like we're going to sit and talk as a family. We just grew up like that. And I just like really believe that's such a good way to end a day. So I am like there, but there are nights where I'm even like tapped. I'm cooked. And like I look at Chris, he goes, let's call it.
Well,
so then I go, iPad dinner, and they all go, like, they love it.
I just think, again, like, as long as you're on the same page with your spouse in those moments, it's perfect. Like there are moments like I always go back to this. As adults, we have a hard time, with our own emotions and having long days and you're exhausted and work was hard. Kids go through the same thing. There are days that they don't want to sit there and say everything about their day because maybe it was hard and they'll talk to you about it later. Like, I think it's just like reading people and just like, if you draw such a hard line in the sand with every single thing, it just doesn't seem sustainable, nor like it's like the gymnastics I was talking about. It's not worth it to a certain point. Let's find something else,
100%.
Like we're not quitting on the team. We're not quitting mid-season. This is a class that goes on year round for as long as you want. Like, it's the same concept. It's like you got to give a little and just read people and what they're dealing with that day and kind of figure it out.
Well, and especially like Cal was dealing with a lot of emotions for a while. And I think he would come home like a little overstimulated and frazzled.
Yeah.
And then me trying to even push a game night, they're like, no, God. I'm like, Yeah. And it's like, if you're offering up your own time and something that's generally fun and your kids are just like too exhausted.
Pivot.
Yeah. Now, I will say I always prefer if we can watch a family show as opposed to the iPads. I definitely think that's like a cut below. But sometimes they want to watch that thing that they've been thinking about. I want to have a connecting dinner with my husband. Sometimes it's like in service of peace and mental health for us, we're looping it in. But
here. And I just think there should be no guilt around it. And again, as long as it's not your standard and you're doing it all the time, it's like, it seems totally reasonable. Yeah. I will say one thing I just wanted to call out that I'm excited for, and maybe could be something cool if people wanted to do something similar, is we've talked about our obsession with Survivor, but you have had kind of like what do you call it? Fantasy team?
Yeah.
Fantasy.
It's informal. It's not like through a platform like fantasy football or something. It's just me and my friend for a long time who've been into it. Well, it's kind of funny because it's Chris's best friend. So he and I kind of bonded over this. So for years and years, we draft teams after the first episode and then they get eliminated throughout the season. So it always gives us something to banter with over messaging, and then the winner buys the other one a cheesecake, which I think is so weird, and I don't even know how it started. But
you've invited us into it this year. I'm so excited.
Grace is in on her own for the first year.
I love it. And so the kids are so excited. And so I'm sure next season they probably will want their own team, but I just thought it'd be easier if all of us Pizzutis had one team. And we watched the first episode. It was such a cute family time with a little bit extra incentive with a team behind it and people we're going to be rooting for. They're even more into it. And so I'm super excited. And by the way, we got a draft.
We got to go.
We got a draft. But anyways, it's super cute. And I want to pass that along in case anybody else wants to do it too. It's
well, and like I even, it was on Wednesday, but I record it. We watch it together Thursday. But Grace, after her swim practice, was like, is it Survivor night? And I was like, yeah, it is. And it's like, that's the great screen time to me. I'm like, I don't even feel neutral. I feel good about that.
Yeah. I mean, as an adult, I have so much joy in watching certain shows. Like I'm super into Traders. There's certain shows that I'm obsessed with.
Peacock. I want it so bad.
It's on Bravo now, so you can watch it. This new season was on Bravo.
Oh.
I'm obsessed with it, and I found out a couple of our cousins watch it, and so I haven't been the most active on it like lately, but we Marco Polo about it or text about it.
You guys have a Traders thread that I'm not on?
Sorry, I guess this is
awkward.
You gotta get in on Traders.
Well, I didn't know it was on a streaming platform I have. I didn't want to get another streaming platform. I mean,
yeah, I pay for Peacock, but I agree. Yeah, couldn't possibly. But it actually is now moving to Bravo, or they do it on Peacock, and then right after it's released on Bravo, I guess, too. Okay. So anyways, it's a good one to get into. But it's just the same joy that I have as an adult. It's good. Like there are some things like screen time that's good, and the kids can kind of enjoy it, too, with this Survivor and whatever else.
I do feel like this iPad thing, though, is I saw on TikTok that the young 20s are really judgmental of like millennial parents that have given their kids iPad. They call them iPad kids.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, you have an iPad kid? Like it is the worst, like savage insult to a millennial parent. And all of them.
I love that that's coming from people who don't even have kids yet.
You know what? Maybe a whole generation will come up and that will like be their thing and they'll swing.
Yeah, really? They should swing the other way a little bit for sure. But I just love judgment coming from somebody who's not dealing with it. It's just a tale as old as time. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah. Call me when they're 4. And we'll see. We'll see if you're 6 out of 10 that have an iPad at 4.
My kid will never be wearing pants with holes in their knee. My kid will never look that dirty and disheveled at the restaurant. It's like, okay, call me.
Call me.
Call me.
Call me, sis. See how that goes. All right. Well, let's get into obsessions. What do you got this week?
My obsession is I cook a lot at home, And on those nights that you just feel a little drained or you've had a longer work week or whatever your thing is, I found through some people I follow, so some influencers who talk about healthy eating, there's a brand called Kevin's Natural Foods, and they have different like already marinated meats. And so they have Thai style coconut chicken. They have a Korean barbecue style chicken. Those are the two I've tried. I think they have a couple other cilantro lime ones, but it is kind of a prepackaged. Did pretty well on Yuka as far as like there's no additives. It's pretty decent.
Where did you buy it, you said?
I bought it at Publix, but it was also at Costco and different places. So I'm sure it's at almost all of the supermarkets. But it is very delicious.
Is it frozen or is it fresh?
It's not frozen, but you can freeze it after you buy it. But basically you just like kind of, cook it up on the stovetop and put it over rice or put it over whatever, add it with some vegetables. It's so great. And it's just such an easy hack. And so this week it's been saving me because I love to cook and I just haven't had time. So I make a little rice, I do the chicken, put it together, and everybody's happy.
Like very flavorful.
Yeah, flavorful. It's not too bad for you. It's pretty decent. And the different flavors are stuff that I usually don't even cook. So it's kind of a nice mix up.
I like that mentality. Like, here's my thought process for a midweek meal. It's like veggie, protein, starch for the kids.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Keep it manageable. Keep it 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That feels like it's going to scratch that itch.
And make it just, you need an easy button every once in a while. So when you forgot to defrost the meat or you don't have the energy, easy button time and it's still decent.
Boop, easy button.
Boop, boop. That's my obsession.
Well, mine is,
yours?
Yeah. I was hemming and hawing about my sleep and I'm old and da, 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 da. So I was like, maybe I'm drinking too much caffeine because I do have this size Yeti, like a full rambler of coffee in the morning.
Yes.
And then, I was doing a caffeinated beverage, either an iced coffee or Diet Coke in the afternoon. So anyways, I was like, maybe my sleep maybe I'm more sensitive to caffeine in my old age. So I tried to really pare it back. I couldn't go nothing because I get a headache if I have no coffee.
Probably the sign you should cut it, but we keep pushing through.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. But it was like, it's too joyful for me to have that like first sip of coffee. So I wasn't going to go to nothing, but then I started doing a half rambler and then that was it for the day. And I noticed that I was a total bitch in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I noticed I was unhappy. I've added back in the afternoon Diet Coke. I only let myself have one. And I treat it like you wouldn't believe the ceremony of me going out to get my single Diet Coke for the day. I look forward to it. I'm like, not yet. Save it.
You like crack it. You have the noise that like,
I give it a little ASMR hitting and then.
Well, there is nothing better than a Diet Coke when you really need it. I have pivoted to Ollipops or whatever, but I'm told it's just not the same when you really are an enthusiast, a Diet Coke enthusiast, which, no judgment. I'm happy for you. And here's what I say is, it's like the coffee for me in the morning. I'm trying to find a creamer that's healthier, blah, blah, blah. I just want to be happy. And the coffee makes me happy. It's like when I put my good creamer in my coffee, it makes me happy. There's a joy that comes from it. If your Diet Coke is giving that to you, here.
And I'm a nicer, better person. Like, am I drinking poison in the afternoon that might impact my sleep? Maybe I am. Maybe
you could change it to a different brand, or maybe you could.
This is the problem. You're going to try to add collagen to my coffee or some bullshit. You stay out of my coffee and you stay out of my Diet Coke.
Fair. I just said have it, and then I was trying to fix it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, don't yuck my yum.
Are you doing it every day? Are you hitting that every day?
Oh, every day. And I mean, I look forward to about 2 hours before I have it.
What about this? What about those minis? Those tiny little ones?
Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Right.
No. Every drop, when it's over, it feels like plenty.
Yeah.
But a mini.
You're going to get some comments about how negative this is for you, but I agree. If it makes you happy.
If they didn't hate me for each kid having their own iPads on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give them a couple reasons to hate me. Know thyself, own thy actions, whatever.
Tough go this week. You're going to get hit hard in the comments section.
Bring it.
Well, and I just want to give one more shout out to our sister who was on the podcast last week. I bought her fat oil obsession.
Let me see that thing.
This is the fat oil if you're looking at the video.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's just like a little lip gloss, but it's really doing its thing.
Your lips
never look dry.
I was going to say, don't look dry for the first time this year.
I know. That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. So I might repost to this one as well, her obsession, just because it's working.
I put farmer's cheese on we haven't gone grocery shopping in a hot second, but I put farmer's cheese on the list. So I'm hoping to bring that into my home soon.
Yeah. Since we're going out of town, I haven't done shopping either, but it is on my list. And your sports bra from last week is also on my list. I can't wait to get it. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
It's great. It's great. All right. Well, let's wrap this puppy up. Good chatting. Come for me in the comments. While you're there, go ahead and follow us at Sage Parents. Check out the guidebook, sageparents.org/guidebook. We're on YouTube where you can watch these videos and rate us. Share it with your friends. A lot of our growth is happening as people are just sharing it with their mom group chats, or we've had a couple people post it in Facebook mom groups. So that is so appreciated. Thank you all so much.
And you can give feedback on the YouTube page as well. Subscribe to us, give us feedback. If there's topics that you want us to talk about, anything like that.
Yeah, we are going to do, I'm glad you said that. I want to do a listener question. We've had some questions like slide into our DMs that I think we have enough to work from, but keep them coming and we'll do a new installment where we're answering the most pressing questions.
Love it.
All right.
Sounds great.
See you, Tan. Love you.
All right. Lilas.